Hey there, and welcome to Your Worth Your Way, the podcast that's all about helping you understand that you are worthy of prioritizing your joy without feeling selfish or guilty. I'm Debbie Lucas, the Joy Alchemist, and each week I'll be bringing you honest, heartfelt conversations with incredible guests, coaches, thought leaders, and soulful humans who'll share their stories and insights on self worth, confidence, personal growth, and how to create a life that feels authentically yours. This isn't about quick fixes or cookie cutter advice. It's about real talk, practical takeaways, and plenty of soulful inspiration to help you live life your way. So get comfy, pour yourself a cup of your something delicious, and let's dive into today's podcast. So today I am joined by my beautiful friend, the incredible Soma Devi, a tantrika at heart and an empowerment coach. And we'll be diving into how you can be inspired enough to take action towards your own self growth, but mostly to feel like you are not alone and there's always a better way to be and live. I'm so excited for you to meet Soma and hear her journey and insights on living life her way. So, welcome, Soma. How are you?
I'm really well. That was an absolutely beautiful intro. Thank you.
Tell,
Delighted to be here. Delighted.
so, tell me, what's lighting you up right now?
So what's lighting me up right now is that I have discovered a new way to tap into my inner self-worth. So this was like so aligned. Like, see, when you came to me, like, someone want to do a podcast on like self-worth, I was like, whoa. I mean, we always know like things
Yeah,
kind of just like
yeah.
happen, like it's never a consequence. But at the moment, I'm really discovering how that looks for me, but also more than anything, how it feels for me, because I am all about embodiment and somatics and going into your inner world. So at the minute, see that pause and that stillness, that's what's lighting me up right now. And that's been a difficult journey for me because
Mhm,
I've been so much in my masculine for such a huge
mhm.
chunk of my life. So to be able to like really sit in stillness and feel that stillness and pause and then feel what self-worth actually feels like. That's kind of what's lighting me up right now on my personal journey.
I
And I
love that.
don't really tap into what's going on around me too much, as you well know. I'm very much about the inner journey. But yeah, life is good, kids are good, still leaning on me. Divine.
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing that. And I think, I'll come circle back to that masculine versus feminine energy because that's something that's come up for me in the past as well. I'm sure it'll come up for the listeners too. So tell us a little bit more about kind of your journey and what led to the work that you're doing right now.
It's really organic. Like sometimes I'm in absolute utter disbelief that this is what I've ended up practicing and this is what I've ended up kind of coaching on. So my journey began a very long time ago. You know, I can't even put a number on it. I know it was decades, probably 20, 25 years ago. And it all started with this real self-loathing and lack of self-acceptance. So I went on a really deep journey of working through my own wounds and my own trauma. And that showed up in me and, a lot of self harm. And I don't mean like, I mean, I was physically self harming, but my self harm was eating disorders, um, abusive relationships with men, toxic cycles. It was all playing out for me. So and it was my own healing journey that led me to where I am now. So it was like taking a deeper dive into, okay, well, why is this happening to me? Why do I feel this way about myself? What can I do that can help me heal from it? And I always felt divinely guided as well. So it was never like, okay, right, I'll go to the GP and I'll just, because, like they like, the GPs like to throw like antidepressants down your throat like it's a sweetie. And I was like, it never aligned with me and it never resonated with me. So I was like, there must be another way. So that must be another way question led me on to Reiki. So I went to get Reiki healing. I did a lot of my own reading and research to find out ways to like help me love myself better. And that was a very deep journey, a very profound journey. And then that journey, because it helped me so much, it was like, right, okay, I now feel like I'm in a place where I can start sharing my wisdom And I didn't ever think it would be in the form of like coaching. Like if anyone said to me life coach like a year or two ago, I would have been like whatever. Like that's so not me. I just want to shine my light, share my wisdom, and in whatever which way I can do that. And that's kind of what's led me to where I am just now, where I just feel like I'm sharing my wisdom, and clients come to me, you know, normally in a very alchemical way. Like it's never just by design. It's just kind of like they just organically come to me. And that's how I like it to be. I don't really like, as you well know, I don't really like force myself out there too
Yeah.
much, just when it intuitively aligns. So does that answer your question?
No, absolutely. And first of all, thank you for sharing your story and your vulnerability. And this is what we're all about. It's about being raw and being honest, and it's about in your strength, other women will find strength as well. And so I'm honoring you for that. But I think, that bit around, how worth and self-worth impacted how your life looked, both in how you related to yourself and your relationships with others. That's so, so important, because for me, self-worth is the fundamental part of it. Because if you don't believe you're worthy, you're never going to take aligned action to creating the life of your dreams, because you're always going to be pulled down into that pit of low self-worth or no self-worth sometimes. And so that's like so super important for me. So, was there a defining moment when you realized that you needed to step into your worth and start living life on your terms?
I think when I realized that self-love was actually more about self-acceptance,
Mhm.
and self-acceptance started with self-forgiveness, and the self-forgiveness, the kind of like core of that is self-worth. And the self-worth is actually a symptom of like a mother wound or a father wound and then an inner child wound. So when I kind of unraveled that, that's when I realized actually I'm playing out a wound, and this is how the wound is manifesting in my reality. And actually, I have to say, like, I never really knew what self-worth felt like. It always felt conditional.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we've been programmed. Like, okay, I'm worthy if I succeed. And to succeed, I need to do this and I need to do that. I'm worthy if I'm worthy of this love if I do this, if I people please, if I give my partner everything that he wants, or I really take care of him and I put his needs before my own. I put my family's needs before my own. So like self-worth began with like this whole conditioning around it. And that was like such a key moment for me when I realized actually self-worth is something that we're born with, that is innate. But even then, even with that knowledge, like even with that knowingness, it's still like, how do you tap into that? How do you know what self-worth actually feels like? Like that's not an easy thing to just tap into when we're so like programmed. And even like I hear a lot of like I see a lot of podcasts and I see a lot of like information out there. And I'm not saying it's misinformation because that's just where that is, but where
Mm-hmm.
I'm at, self-worth for me has, especially right now, has become for me sitting in that stillness. And like all I do is I like just repeat to myself, like, this itself, just the beingness is my worthiness, is I am worthy. Do you know what I mean? So it's
Yes.
like the breath that comes in, it's like, that's worthiness. That feeling that of stillness, like honestly, like now that I've touched on it and I feel it, it's it is so divine. It is so divine, Debbie. Like, and I'm so glad that this awareness came to only recently. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
gonna lie, like
Yeah.
probably be in that conditioning for a long time, and it's only in the last 4 to 6 weeks where I really began to tap into what self-love actually feels like for me. And like me just being here, living this life, being born, being in this like vessel, like the fact
Mm-hmm.
that I've been gifted this vessel, like that proves my worthiness. So everything is like now proving my worthiness. Like the breath proves my worthiness. The being here proves my worthiness. The vessel that I've been gifted with proves my worthiness, you know? So that's kind of
Oh, wow, I have like had goosebumps the whole time you were talking, and obviously, for those of you who don't know, I worked with Soma. Soma was my somatic coach, empowerment coach, whatever you were working at the time, and you know, th a lot of what we spoke about and worked on for myself is what you were talking about there too. But that bit around self-worth is not conditional is like the you've just summarized what this podcast is about, because we are so conditioned in society and family and culture that your worthiness is conditional. If you even think, if you celebrate, Christmas, Santa will only bring you a gift if you're a good boy or girl. It doesn't get any more conditional than that. But then we get the complete mixed message because, probably 99.9% of the time you still get the gifts anyway. So you're
Yeah.
kind of like, what am I doing? So all these stories, and it's all these little bits of information that feeds into that and kind of reinforces that. And, sometimes we logically in our brains know that self-worthness isn't necessarily conditional, but to actually, as you were saying, feeling it, believing it, and I can feel it in my stomach. And that was like the absolute breakthrough for me as well. That bit of just being me, just showing up. I am enough. I am enough. And that was one of my affirmations for a long, long time. And I still work it in sometimes if I'm starting to feel a bit of a wobble. But I think, that bit that you were saying, self-acceptance is about self-forgiveness, which creates the self-worth. And I think that's such an important journey, but it's not something that we can necessarily always get to on our own. We do sometimes need that help and guidance. And I hope that this podcast does that for the listeners. But obviously if they want to work, a bit deeper and go a bit deeper, then there's you, there's me, there's a whole lot of other people out there who can help them with that.
Yes.
So you mentioned kind of like, living life kind of authentically, improving your relationship with yourself comes first and foremost. So what's one misconception that you'd like to clear up about that, having that relationship with yourself and what that looks like?
I think knowing yourself and having compassion for yourself, um, I think that's the journey that I've been on and many of my clients have been on, is like that okay, I am a human being. I am navigating this life the best way that I can. I am sometimes messy. I am not always perfect. I don't always get it right. And this is all part of the process. And it's an important part of the process. And I think that is key in your journey, is like holding that space for yourself. And how do you actually know yourself? How do you knowing yourself for me, or like that part of the journey for me, was really about spending a lot of time in my own company.
Mhm.
And that's really hard.
Mhm.
Like, see when that loneliness creeps up, and then you're like, oh, right, okay, let me look to the person, let me look to the friendship circles, let me look to the phone, let me distract myself. Let me, you get so easily distracted, and there's distractions all around us. But see, to really sit and be present with yourself and feel that uncomfortableness, that's hard.
Yeah.
But see, when you get there and it ripples away, then you're like, oh, there's a great sense of like inner peace and inner joy, and like that feeling that there's no app on your phone, there's no social network, there's no friendship, there's no relationship, there's nothing that can touch that. And that's something that I always try and teach my clients. Like, yes, and most of my clients are women. Yes, you're a mother. Yes, you're a daughter. Yes, you're a sister. Yes, you're a whatever, right? You're an employee. Da, 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 da. You're all of these things. These are just labels. But for you to sit with yourself, for you to be in your own company, there isn't anything more empowering than that, I think.
No, and I completely agree, and so beautifully said, because I think it's that bit about, taps into the external validation bit for me. Like when we are reliant on external circumstances, on external people to feel worthy or to bring us joy or to feel confident, that's very fickle, because, people's moods come and change, circumstances change, situations change. But when you've got that anchored in you, when you feel comfortable in your own skin, as you say, that gift that you have, you know, no one can ever take that away from you. And I think for me, one of the big realizations in my journey came around radical responsibility for myself,
Mhm.
understanding that no one can make me feel or do anything. You know, I can't make anybody do or feel anything, so that realization really kind of helped me to understand that, as long as I am coming from a place of love with the
Yeah,
best intentions for myself and for other people, even if my decisions or my choices don't make logical sense,
yeah,
as long as it feels good in me and I'm comfortable showing up in that decision that I have made, then I know it's the right one. But something else that kind of, really kind of resonated with me about what you were saying as well was like, we often kind of look for distractions in life, and whether that's a person, an app, social media, Netflix, whatever it may be. And I think that's because we're too scared, as you said, to kind of sit in
it's
it,
really
and just really,
uncomfortable.
because
Yeah.
the feelings will come up, when your mind goes quiet, the
Oh my
emotions will
gosh,
come.
yes.
And that can be really, really tricky and really challenging and scary as well. And obviously, your unconscious mind, your ego is there to keep you safe. So the minute that comes up, you're looking for something else to get out of that. But when you get comfortable with sitting with that and moving through it, feeling it, allowing it in, because it's
Yeah.
all part of you. And this is the bit that's important. Like every single part, what's perceived as good or bad, it's all part of you. It's all made you who you are today. And I think that's so important.
I think that like your own, like we all have our own innate ability to heal ourselves. And for me, the healing takes place in the stillness. The healing takes place in the feeling. And what I do is I do with my clients is like I just show them how to sit and feel and like work through those emotions in whatever way, so whether it's somatically, whether it's like through visual meditation, whether it's through tapping, whatever of those tools that I'll use. But at the core of it all, it's about sitting with yourself and being present with yourself and feeling whatever you need to feel. So like for me, a daily practice that I do, like this morning I woke up and like there was an emotion in me and I could feel it right away. So what I often do is in that moment I just sit and I just tap into myself and I allow whatever it is, whether it's uncomfortableness, whether it's whatever its feelings of unworthiness, because it doesn't just magically go away and never come back again. Even as a coach, you're still working through your stuff. So I just sit with it and I feel it. And sometimes it ripples out in tears, and sometimes it ripples out in a shudder, and sometimes it just moves out of me very easily. And sometimes I have to go into a bit of movement or a wee
Mhm.
bit of an embodiment practice. But it's really important to bring like your power back to yourself, like you said, like we give our power away so easily. It's so easy for us to look for the solution outside of ourselves. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't, because we all need guidance. We all need to be shown.
Yes.
But number one, first, make sure you listen to your gut when you're following any guidance or any coach,
Yes.
whoever it may be. Like, make sure you really resonate with that person. But also, don't let any other person make you feel inadequate or unworthy, or like you're not good enough, or like you're not doing the work well enough. Or it's really important to feel compassion for yourself in whatever it is that you're going through. We are human beings. We're going to be messy. We're going to be, good, bad, ugly. Not that I like that
Yeah.
vocabulary, but you know, self-acceptance is about accepting all parts of yourself. So the parts of you that are really highly emotional, that are a little bit messy, that are chaotic, that are maybe not what you would deem as a nice
Yeah.
parts of you. Just accept it all. Like, this is who you are. Enjoy it, live it. you know, do the best you can. you know.
Yeah, and it is that, but like we always do the best that we can with what we know in that moment, and when we know better, we do better. I can't remember who said that now, I'm quoting somebody. But when we know better, we do better, and that's the important, but that's the growth, that's the kind of leveling up in life, isn't it?
Yeah, we put so much pressure on ourselves, I
Yeah.
think. I think that's what I've realized, like even in my own journey, like I need to heal. I need to heal. I need to fix this. And
Yeah.
see that word fixing, like I've
Yeah.
removed that from my
Yeah.
vocabulary. Like I'm not fixing anything. I'm perfect just as I am, even with all my wounding, even with all the stuff that's maybe playing out in my mind or in my body. All of that's just perfect. And you know what? I'm not fixing myself anymore because I don't need to be fixed.
Yes.
You know,
You're perfect as you are.
perfect as
Perfectly imperfect.
perfectly imperfect. But it's when it's see when your reality is paining you to the point where you're in abusive relationships, you're abusing yourself, you're playing out patterns and cycles from your mother wounding, your father wounding, your inner child wounding, that's when you're like, okay, I do need to take action. I do need to take a step forward towards my personal growth so that my reality can be better. And that's when and why you should take that step in that personal growth journey and find the right person to guide you. I wish like 25 years ago, this all wasn't so taboo. I wish there was people out there like you and I
Yeah,
be guided by, to be led by. And that's kind of like, I know this is the reason why we're doing what we're doing, because
yeah,
had we been that voice for that person 20 years ago,
yes,
our journey would have been so much easier. And that's all I think I know I aim to do.
yeah.
Just show you that way, show you how to, and then you go away and do the how to.
Definitely, because it is still, even if you've got, the best coach in the world, whoever that may be, you've still got to do the work. And I think that's what's so important for me, what you said that, like, having somebody who can hold the mirror up. I mean, life and the people in your life tend to hold the mirror up on what, your triggers are, the bits that are needing healing, but that can be hard to see. So when you've got somebody who can hold that space for you and kind of hold that mirror up in a very loving way to guide you through that, to understand the stories, the beliefs, the patterns, that deep wounding that has kind of, set the course for your life, as it were. And until you heal that, until you understand that that's not who you are, yes, it's a part of who you are, but it's not who you are. Then only you can then open up your heart and your mind into all the possibilities that are available, and there's endless possibilities available to you. And that's the bit, that's so important for me. And if I could come back to the bit that you spoke about at the start around the masculine, sitting in the masculine energy, because that really resonated with me so much. Because for me, and for the listeners who don't understand masculine and feminine energy, it's not about genders or your physical sex or gender. It's about just energy, and everybody has it, and it's about that harmony within you. Because
Yeah.
masculine is very much about strategic, taking action, the doing, and the feminine, as you described, Soma, at the start, was very much about kind of intuition, flow, kind of creativity, sitting in the moment. But you can't have one without the other, because you can be as creative as you want, but unless you're taking masculine energy and action, you're never going to, kind of get to where you want to be. But for me, sitting in the masculine energy is what created my safety. It's how I felt safe. It was about control, and I don't mean in a negative controlling way. It was about having control of my circumstances and what was happening, so that I knew I felt safe within that. And so it was very much doing energy. And like you, moving into that feminine. I've been doing that for the past maybe 12, just over 12 months, really sitting in that creative space, sitting in that flow, which has been lovely. But I'm now having to kind of swing back into a bit of a harmony, but because it was too far in the feminine energy. So, what's kind of one tip that you would give, or one strategy that you would give, for us to kind of be able to harmonize those two energies so that we can live a life of flow?
So the divine feminine and the divine masculine, it is about union and it is about balance. It's the yin, it's the yang, it's the Shakti, it's the Shiva, it's the heaven and the earth energies. For me, my journey has very much been about almost being forced into the divine feminine. I've been very, very masculine led, and it's showed up in many physicalities in my body, illnesses and all sorts of disease. What is my advice? I think aligned action when it comes to the masculine. I think if you're a woman, I think you create from the portal of your sacral chakra, your womb.
Mhm, mhm.
So you put your ideas and your thoughts out there, and then you wait for the intuition to come to you to take that inspired action.
Yeah.
I think that's what works for me. So I can only talk from my experience
Mm-hmm.
and from what I teach and coach my clients, but that's how it works for me. And this is how I coach my clients into it. But I know if you are a man, it would maybe be okay, perhaps you need to set the goals and set the route that you want to go on, but also trust and surrender. So it's like setting the
Yeah.
intention, planting the seed, but then trusting and surrendering and allowing the universe to step in, allowing the power of the universe, the power of Shakti, the power of Shiva to come in and step in and do some of the creating for you, but very much tapping into your body and listening to when and
Yeah.
what action you want to take. Yeah.
Sorry for those who are listening on just the audio. I've got my hands up. Yes, preach, sister. And that's so important because for a long time, I was stuck in that smart goal setting, and it was felt, now looking back, it felt so masculine. And it wasn't until I kind of stepped back and said, like, for me, it was more about setting intentions than goals. Like, this is my intention, but it's all in divine timing. I will know, I will feel when it's right. And that changed everything for me in my life. I have less of a plan with my life now than I've ever
I
had.
love it. Isn't
But
it
I
so
just,
much easier?
I know, and you were a big part of getting me there, as you know. But it's not like I don't care, because I care. But it's like, life will work out. I'm trusting in myself. I'm trusting in the universe, and it's so beautiful.
It's a hard step to take.
It is.
It's very easy for us to sit here being on the journey and say to other people,
Yes.
oh, trust and surrender. And
Yeah.
everyone's sitting there thinking, aye, that's easy for you to say,
Yeah.
but we've done it. It
A
works.
100%. This, and I'm reading a book called A Happy Pocket Full of Money, by David Cameron Jacandi. And one of the things he talks about is like Olympic gold medalists.
Yeah.
Them achieving the gold medal at the Olympic Games seems like, yes, they've got it, they've made it. But what we often don't see and truly appreciate is the years of physical training, mental training, emotional training, mindset work they've gone through to get there. So, yeah, the action of swimming in that 100-meter freestyle, or the action of running that 100-meter race, is what got them the gold medal. But it's all those years of work that came before it. And so, exactly like that for us, to get to this place where we're able to feel that and be that, it's not just come overnight. It's been tears, blood, sweat,
Oh, yeah.
loads of sleepless nights, loads of, so it is a journey. And hopefully, this is what Your Worth, Your Way is all about, is about bringing you along that journey so that you can feel that too, that you can get there as well. So I'm going to just shift lanes very quickly, because I'm all about joy. And joy is something that we often overlook in the hustle of daily life, the daily grind. So a question to you, Soma, is what's one simple way that you can create and bring joy into your everyday life?
Gosh, I love this question. Takes me down whole sensuality, tapping into your senses, being present. Oh, wow. Okay. So how can I tell you this briefly? So for me, again, I think we're going down the conversation about like we look for joy outside of ourselves. So we're looking for, okay, once I get the car, once I get the perfect boyfriend or the perfect husband, once I'm married, then I'll be happy and I'll start feeling that joy. So you're constantly chasing the joy. I think what's forgotten, what's innately forgotten, is that the joy is present with us all of the time. We have just forgotten how to tap into that. We don't know. We've not been, I mean, it's not anyone's fault. We've not been shown. Education is not an institution that shows us how to use our emotional intelligence and our emotional body. So we've been trained and conditioned to like, and of course it's the whole capitalist culture, like buy, purchase, 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 and that's how they kind of keep enslaving us. But know that you have the power within you to tap into that joy. And how do you tap into that joy? It's so simple. It starts with a very gentle like touch.
Mhm.
That touch, like if you close your eyes and feel that touch, and it's like maybe it's a tingle, and maybe it doesn't start off as a tingle, maybe it's like a little bit of uncomfortableness, and that's okay, because eventually that peels away, and then you're able to tap into like that feeling of joy inside of you, and you feel that inside of you, and you're like, wow, I can do that for myself. I
Yeah.
don't need a partner to do that for me. I don't need my children to do that for me. That's something I can access at any point throughout the day, and I can tap into that feeling. So it's about tapping into your senses inside of your body, but also something as simple as like, okay, so there's a plant in that corner, and I'm just like showing appreciation for that organism, that life,
Mhm.
like that. It's like that communication with that plant,
Yeah.
like that's bringing me joy.
Yeah.
So it's like in the moment,
Yeah.
it's in that joy is in every moment. We have access to it at all times of the day, but you need to stop and be still feel it. And sometimes it's not comfortable.
Yeah.
I get it. It's
Yeah.
not, but believe you me, once you get there, like there's so many practices that I could go into. There's so many things that I could show you: tantric breath work, tantric breath
Hmm.
practices, Tao Tantra stuff, sensuality practice. There's so
Hmm.
much stuff that can help you to begin to access it. But you could do it for yourself right here and now by just simply stopping breathing and
Yeah. And I attended one of your circles where we did kind of like self-touch, and we used the oil on our hands, and we just kind of rubbed it into our hands and up our arms, and it did feel a little bit uncomfortable. I remember that, but as I kind of got into it, it just felt so lovely, just kind of like, just feeling the oil on your skin and the smell of it, and as you say, those senses. And you're so right. I'm all about finding joy in the moments. For me, like I drink hundreds of cups of tea a day, and like every single cup I savor. It's like that, just that 2 minutes of just sitting
absolutely.
and just feeling the heat of the cup. It's usually just black tea I drink, but I do drink herbal teas as well. If I'm like mint tea or whatever, I'm smelling the mint, I'm tasting it, and I'm feeling the heat in my body. And it really does ground you as well as bring that joy in. And I think the more we can find joy in life, even in those small moments, the more we'll bring in. And I know, like, you know, maybe I'm just imagining it, but maybe it is true. Like, I feel like people smile a lot more when I'm around there because I am just always finding joy in the moment, enjoying a conversation with a friend, enjoying an exchange in the supermarket, as I'm paying for my things. So that's so, so important.
Yeah, because you begin emanating it.
Yeah.
Like once you activate and you find it, it's about remembering because we've got it inside of us at all times. So once you remember that feeling and you're activating it, you're amplifying it. It's all coming from the heart.
Yeah.
So the heart is like the heart aura, the heart energy is like 360 degrees. So
Yes.
like emanating outside
Yes.
of you, it's going to ripple out into the people that you meet. And we don't meet people by chance. Like every person who walks past you
Yeah.
is someone
Yeah.
who's meant to pass you, for whatever reason. Maybe there's meant to be an exchange of energy.
Yes.
I mean, I totally believe in the quantum field and all
Yeah.
of that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. That's a whole other conversation, but
Yeah.
yeah, but
I need to
absolutely,
get you back on.
yeah, absolutely. Emanate it from inside of you, empower yourself, stop giving your power away, know that you have access to this joy. And like you said, just a very simple, the warmth of the cup, the sitting, looking at the window, looking at the grass, looking at what you've created. Look at what you've created. Look at
Hmm.
your vessel. Like, oh my gosh, like,
Yeah.
wow. Like, this vessel is what you have also created. Like,
Yeah.
wow. Like, oh my gosh. Like, legs that work, arms that move. Oh my gosh, wow. Like,
Yeah.
oh, wow. That like lights me up, you know?
It is, and it just I can even feel the abundance in what you're saying. Like, just look at the life that you have, the home you have, the friendships, the relationships you have. There's so much abundance around us. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing your story and your insights, Soma. You and I can we could sit and talk about this forever. And this is how this podcast came about, because I was saying to like all my friends, like, we should record this. This could be a podcast. So loving that I get to have these conversations and share it with the world. So one thing that really stood out for me in our conversations, coming back to that bit about, self-worth, is, you have to go through that self-acceptance, self-forgiveness, to really feel worthy in yourself. And, forgiving yourself for, your life up to this date. It's all about, you did the best you could with what you had at the time. And
Mhm.
it's about kind of that understanding, and just knowing that, as I said before, now that you know better, you can do better, and taking responsibility for that.
Mhm. Mhm. Yes, definitely. Do you want me to add to that?
Well, no, if you've got something to add, yes.
Um, no, no.
Okay,
I think
good.
that was perfectly, yeah.
So I am pretty sure that my listeners are going to want to know more about you. So tell us, what's the best place that people can find you or learn more about your work?
So, yeah, I have a battle with social media. Debbie well knows, but I am on social media, so you can find me on Instagram, sacred.sassy111. But I've started my own personal blog because I feel like it's a better
Oh,
and more aligned space for
yeah.
me. So that's somadevi.life. I think
Okay.
but I'll give you the deets and you can.
Yes.
So you'll find me either on Instagram, but mostly on my blog where I kind of share and just kind of purge all of my wisdom whenever it feels aligned to do so in a blog or in a post or in a video. So there's a lot of stuff on there. So please feel free to go and have a look. There's loads of wisdom on there that you can just get for free. You know, you don't even need to get in touch with me and whatever.
Mm.
You can just read whatever resonates and aligns. So catch me on there or catch me on Instagram.
Well, that's exciting. That's an exciting development. So
I
I'll
know.
definitely be on that blog as well. And yeah, so I will add all the links to Soma's Instagram and the blog in the show notes as well for you. And then you can go and explore some more. And please feel free to reach out to Soma if you feel that she resonated with you. Okay, so thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Your Worth, Your Way. I know that you'll be walking away feeling inspired and ready to embrace your worth and prioritize your joy. If you love this episode, I'd be so grateful if you could leave a review or share it with someone who needs a little bit of encouragement today. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss another episode. You can connect with me, find out more about the podcast, my guests, and what I do at debbielucas.me/links. And if you don't already, you can follow me on any of your favorite social media platforms. I'd love to hear your thoughts and continue the conversation there. And all those links are on that website as well. And until next time, remember, you are worthy exactly as you are.